Hi book besties, so I just finished Alcohol You Later by Heather M. Orgeron, and I rated this one 5 out of 5 stars. I finished this in like 5 hours, okay? This one I like completely devoured. I freaking loved it, okay? And maybe it's just because like in the band I'm always picking the drummer kind of thing, being like, oh my gosh, the drummer is like, I love my drummers. And this one follows Nick, and he's the drummer of the Rhett Taylor band from the first book. So if you haven't watched my review video for Poor Judgment, which is book 1 of the series, you can go check it out now. It's up. This is book 2. I'm calling it the Rhett Taylor band series because it follows the 4 band members, obviously. Here's your one warning. If you haven't read this book and you don't want spoilers, move it along. This one follows Nick and Raven. Nick is Corey's cousin from the first book, and Raven is her best friend. Nick and Raven also meet at the camp Poor Judgment from the first book, and they immediately hit it off, like immediately start hooking up, Raven starts thinking it's gonna be more, and eventually Nick kind of puts her in the box of like friends with benefits. And Raven just goes along with it because she's like, the sex is that good, I'm willing to just be his dude. And my dudes, he calls her my dude a lot in the first half of this book. So if you don't want some dude, some guy calling a girl my dude after hooking up with her, don't read this book, because it might piss you off. Honestly, it pissed me off a little bit, but then you have to remember that like, she's letting it happen. It's fine with her. So I think it's been a couple years since they met at that camp, and they've been hooking up since then. So Nick has a lot of like past issues that he needs to work through, and he hasn't done it yet. So he drowns himself in alcohol and weed. And when those things don't work and he can't eat, like sex isn't working for him either, he calls my girl Raven, and she can always help him out, even if it's 3 in the morning and she's asleep and she's like, oh my gosh, what the hell. She's in love with him once more, and he's all like, we're just gonna be friends with benefits for now. Nick has something or 2 little something called twins pop up on his tour, and they end up being his. He didn't realize that they were his, and the mom has passed from cancer, and her sister had dropped them off, and she was like, here's your kids, take them. You have 6 months, and if you don't want them in 6 months, then my parents, like the grandparents, will raise them, but they're old, so don't put that on them. And he crashes out. He's like, I can't take care of 2 kids, I don't want to do it. And so he calls Raven and is all like, hey, can you meet me on tour? Like, I'm getting my own tour bus. Like, I need you on tour with me. And so she's thinking she's going to spend the summer on tour with the guy that she's in love with and that he's decided he wants her to, only to show up, because he didn't tell her anything about the kids, only to show up and him being like, it's good to see you. Can you nanny my kids for the summer? I would have lost my shiz, you guys. I would have lost it. So she agrees because she's a pushover and she wants Nick. Nick won't even look at the kids. Nick doesn't help her with the kids. He just kind of expects her to take care of the kids and be in his bed at nighttime. It only works for her for so long. Eventually she grows like a backbone, and you're like, good for you, girl. You stick it to him. Eventually, things kind of go rocky because her one condition to being his nanny for the summer was that he bring no groupies onto the bus. And he was all like, why would I need groupies when you're the only one I want? Eventually he gets blackout drunk and some groupie brings him home, and she freaks out and leaves. Doesn't go far because he's all like, oh my gosh, no, I need you, I love you. And it's this moment you're like, now you realize you love her? Now? Like, as she's leaving you behind, you're like, oh my gosh, I love you. And you're like, no, I don't feel like you actually love her. You just don't want her to leave you, and you're trying to do everything in your power to make her stay. She doesn't, but she doesn't like leave the tour completely to like stop being his nanny. She just moves buses to her best friend's bus and like nannies the kids when he's like touring, like on stage and at rehearsals and stuff. Eventually he comes around and he gets better. Okay, he does. I didn't know if he was gonna come through on for me. I was worried there for a second. I was. But this one is absolutely, honestly, so far my favorite. I love drummers. I really do. Drummers are probably my favorite. The other two books in the series should be here soon. But when I ordered them, Amazon was all like, well, we should have them there to you shortly, but it's going to take like 3 to 4 days. And I was like, I can't do 3 to 4 days without reading. So stay tuned for a spinner wheel video. And I just realized I forgot to change this. So it's actually 148, I promise. I have a hard time remembering to change that, especially when doing like reading books so fast. If you haven't read Alcohol You Later by Heather M. Orgeron, I would definitely check it out. I don't feel like you need to read Poor Judgment first, which is book 1, but if you want to, you definitely can. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.